Namaste, greetings and blessings, and welcome to the Center for Spiritually Integrated Arts. This is our Sunday message, and I am Reverend Dr. Raymont Anderson, the founder and spiritual director of this center. And I invite you to watch not only this Sunday message, but any of our archived messages. I invite you to join any classes or events that we have going on. I invite you to reach out and email if you have any questions. Questions about this community, questions about me, questions about what we do, or questions about this science of mind and spirit, liberation theology that we practice and teach. And if by chance you find yourself seeking beloved community with other like-minded beings, even if you already belong, are a member of another community, church, or center, you are more than free to have multiple affiliations wherever you are fed and find community. You are invited. And lastly, feel free to click like, subscribe, and share this or any other message or announcements with others in your circle. And with that, much appreciation, love, and blessings. Enjoy the message. Namaste and greetings. And we're still together. This week, June 22nd, we start off with this idea that we are invited to celebrate both our unity and our diversity. Recognizing our divine connection often requires, I know it's a bad word for some folks, vulnerability, and the courage to support one another as we share our truths, the truth of our experiences. Pause. Keeping in mind this idea of diversity as an expression of the divine is crucial because while we may not always agree, and I'm not even going to say may not, there's going to be disagreement of one kind or another. I don't want chocolate ice cream. I want strawberry. Okay, then can we go ahead and get a Hawaiian pizza? No, I don't like pineapples. Okay, so there's going to always be a disagreement about something. Should we paint the room red or blue? Neither. It should be green. We are going to disagree about something. Everything from the what we would call trivial to the major to the traumatic. But we have to keep in mind that while we may not always agree, each challenge, each disagreement, each confrontation, each conflict is providing an opportunity for us to practice emotional regulation, to practice how do we heal our own trauma, to practice how do I use my voice to advocate for myself and for others, to practice how do I come together vulnerable, but moving towards unity, to practice how, even in the midst of the conflict, the confrontation, the disagreement, the discord, how do I remember that we are still together? Because there's only one. Different definitions of unity may lead some folks to conflict. But once again, such conflict invites greater discussion, greater healing, and thereby greater transformation. When we are feeling frustrated with the pace of cultural evolution, because it moves so slow at times, we are invited to find solace in the words of Reverend Dr. Martin Luther King Jr., who said, "The arc of the moral universe is long, but it always bends towards justice." And we're going to talk about that in a few. Just breathe it in. Dr. Tracy Brown says oneness does not mean sameness. In the category of fruit, that's one category. Within there, of all the kinds of fruits, are they all the same? No. So if we understand, okay, well, what about dogs, canines? In the one group called canine, are all dogs the same? No. Oh, music? No. So if we understand it when it comes to these things, why would we expect that we need to be the same as in order to express oneness? Oneness is a given. Sameness tends to be a mandate. Hitler was mandating a degree of sameness that in order to be implemented meant genocide. Sameness is often a mandate that you need to look like us, act like us, be like us. Because if you're not with us, you're one of them, and them is the enemy. Oneness does not mean sameness. That is not the way the universe expresses itself. Breathe. So when we talk about unity, one, basic definition, it is a range of differences, a range of different things. It is a variety, a mixture of diversity. It's the green through me. Diversity is a range of differences, a range of different things, a variety of, a mixture of, contrast, multiplicity. Whereas unity is the state of being united or joined as a whole. It is harmony. It is to be of one accord. It is to cooperate, to move in concert. It is solidarity, peace, wholeness, oneness, integrity, cohesion, coherence. So when we talk about both unity and diversity, how are we identifying that within the diversity, various kinds of fruits, where do we find wholeness and oneness? Could it be that the thing that defines this as fruit versus vegetable is the integrity? It is the harmony of this thing called fruit? And not to say that vegetable is separate from, because now fruits and vegetables, one category, edibles, foods, nutritious, etc. When we identify, because this is one of the big problems we have with this idea of diversity, we think diversity means other, versus it is simply a difference. It is simply a contrast. A rainbow is a diverse blend of colors that work in concert, in solidarity, to represent or to express what happens when light is refracted through a prism. That's not discord. So the moral of this whole story between unity and diversity, the moral of this whole story comes down to one simple word: oneness. It is an expression of the divinity as it expresses in, through, and as all that there is, oneness. So when we talk about the beloved community, and when we talk about a world that works for all, that's what we're talking about: oneness. Beloved community, oneness. Global community, oneness. A world that works for all, oneness. How do we identify, recognize, celebrate, and honor? So even when we talk about the arc of the moral universe, as it says, is long, but it always bends towards justice, often attributed to Dr. King, was actually spoken originally by a Unitarian minister, Theodore Parker, as far back as 1871. And this quote, as it says, suggests that while progress toward moral justice may be slow and arduous, it is inevitable. Therefore, we should remain hopeful and believe that the world is in fact moving in a direction that favors fairness and equality. Despite the challenges and despite the obstacles and despite the setbacks that we witness and experience along the way. So, taking that in mind, one verse from the Bible that often comes to my mind, Isaiah 2:4. The Lord will mediate between nations and will settle international disputes. They will hammer their swords into plowshares and their spears into pruning hooks. Nation will no longer fight against nation, nor train for war anymore. Breathe it in. The Reverend Ray translation of this is, you are the Lord, Lord. You are the Lord who will mediate between nations and will settle international disputes so that they will no longer make or need weapons to use against another in anger or from hatred or fear. And the need for war will become extinct. Breathe that in. This is our invitation to understand, referencing the arc of the moral universe. The arc of the moral universe will bend towards justice, but only if we are the ones who bend it. So when this says you are the Lord, Lord, of course, it's an acronym. You are the life, the order, the righteousness, and the divinity who will mediate and bring about a world that works for all. You are the one who is given the opportunity to bend the arc of the moral universe in order for there to be equity and justice in a world that works for all. It's not going to happen by itself. Dinner doesn't happen by itself. The microwave does not turn on, the microwave doesn't open, put the food in, turn itself on, and serve. Houses aren't built by themselves. They don't just magically pop up. We have to build it. Dolores Herta says, when you have a conflict, that means there are truths that have to be addressed on each side of the conflict. And when you have a conflict, then it's an educational process to try to resolve the conflict. And to resolve that, you have to get people on both sides of the conflict involved so that they can have a dialogue, so that they can communicate. Healing happens through communication. Healing of our body, when various parts communicate with various parts of the one. Relationships, communication. Life, communication. How does the universe communicate with itself? Communication. I recently heard about this phenomenon where crows or ravens, when they are ill, how they will find an anthill and go down to the anthill and just flop on it and flutter their wings until the ants come out of the anthill and they crawl all over the raven. And in this, technically what they're trying to do is attack the raven, but they're actually, what they end up doing is eating or feeding off of the mites and the ticks and the things on the raven, which are making the raven sick. And they're giving off a certain kind of, I forget what it's called, but a certain kind of acidic something that heals the raven. Nature communicating with itself. The mycelial network of mushrooms and trees and plants. Communication resolves conflict. So when we are engaged in any kind of disagreement, conflict, confrontation, rather than run from it, rather than feeling like or acting like it's us versus them, breathe and communicate. Breathe in the midst of the disagreement, in the midst of the conflict, in the midst of the confrontation. If it's yours to do, some disagreements, some conflicts, and some confrontations are not ours to engage in, right? Sometimes the way to address it is to leave. So discernment, knowing what is yours to do and when to do it, is also important. But rather than doing what many of us in New Thought do is, oh, there's conflict. Fight, flight, Fawn freeze. Whoo. Breathe. It's not us versus them. Keep communicating. And eventually, what we find is agreement, even if there's still disagreement. We come to a place of, can we agree on this? We continue to communicate, we collaborate, and we cooperate with one another because we are no longer adversaries, but we are partners. It moves from us versus them to we. We are in this together. That's the only way we're going to get to a world that works for all. Understanding that it's we, the people, in order to form a more perfect, harmonious, and transformative global union. We breathe. So very often, people get they get into it. But why? Why are conflicts, disagreements, and confrontations, why are they such a big deal for some people? Like some people seek these things out. Some people thrive off of, and some people can't control it. They are easily baited into it. Why? Why is it a thing? Swami Vivekananda says all differences in this world are of degree and not of kind, because oneness is the secret of everything. So, in other words, this highlighter, and I'm not even going to use the ink pen. I'm going to use the chapstick, bliss sticks. They're the same color. I don't want to go with something. Let's go with the phone stand. Okay, these are very different. Okay, the differences of these are not of kind. One's used for one thing, the other one's used. The difference is actually in degree, the degree of how the divine, the degree of how oneness, the degree of how the universe is expressing as this thing and as this thing. The degree of how this, the universe, and this, the universe, of degree. When we really sink into this, we understand then we're far more similar, we're far more connected than we've been led to believe. So, in this grand thing of believing in separation and what separation does, the damage it causes by believing that we are separate from one another, separate from life, separate from God, separate. At the root of this is one of the greatest things. This causes war. This causes genocide. Believing that they need to be eradicated in order for us to thrive. Separation. The consciousness of that, breathe. It is necessary for us to see that unity does not mean uniformity, and that the changeless nature of the original mind in no way imposes monotonous, same old, monotonous action upon it. The original mind expresses diversity. It expresses the vast myriad of, not the monotonous, same old. So unity does not mean uniformity. It does not mean sameness. It does not mean monotonous. A symphony works in unity. playing a diverse set of instruments, playing a diverse series of chords and notes, but communicating in harmony a beautiful piece of music. If everyone in the symphony played the same instruments and the same notes, it's not going to sound the same. You need the oboes and the flutes and the violins and the cymbals and the percussions you need all of this for the symphony to be what it is, for the music to be what it is. It's not meant to be. Life is not meant to be uniformity, sameness, monotonous. And yet, many of us have slipped into the zombie consciousness of, rather than being engaged in life. Go back, it's a trap. As the black sheep turns around to go back. The black sheep usually doesn't follow the crowd because every once in a while, the crowd is literally going the wrong way in mass. It takes the black sheep to stand out and say, hey, I think we're headed off a cliff. They may be labeled the outcasts or the rebels, but in reality, they're the ones who are brave enough to challenge the status quo and forge their own path. So let's celebrate the black sheeps in our lives. Let's embody the black sheep, the ones who inspire us and the ones that we can become to inspire others to think differently, to question the monotonous norms, to question the monotonous way that consciousness of the collective would have us stuck on repeat, and let us embrace our individuality as an expression of the divine. So let us recognize what is the wrong way, and let us turn rather than proceed beyond this point. Let us recognize all of the ways the wrong way shows up. The way the collective consciousness has and continues to show up in harmful, othering, and dangerous ways. It shows up as the herd mentality, the cult mentality, the mob mentality. It shows up as race consciousness or the collective consciousness. And it operates in very insidious, sometimes overt, and many other times covert ways. What are we doing about it? Well, in order to address it, number one, we have to identify it. You can't put out a fire that you cannot find. Breathe. So this is an interesting read that I'm going to offer that at some point you can come back, screen capture it, or send an email and I'll send it to you. But there's an article that says why we follow the crowd even when we know better. And there's a variety of things mentioned in here, but it's this idea of we want to be accepted. We want to be a part of. And so we follow the crowd, even when the crowd is going somewhere harmful. Firefighter Josephs, who is in danger in this situation? Everyone in the building and everyone in the nearby vicinity. See, it's easy to think that, well, the only people that are in danger are the ones who are on that floor or near that room. No, everyone in the building is in danger. And everyone in the nearby vicinity is in danger. Could be in danger of explosions, in danger of falling debris, in danger of smoke inhalation, in danger of so many things. It's not isolated to one room or even one floor. Racism is not isolated. Transmisia is not isolated. Do you realize that transphobia, as I call transmisia, has been the thing that has caused people to attack cisgender women, accusing them of being transgender women and attacking them. One was even, I forget the woman's name, but it was an African American woman whose throat was cut because someone said she was a man. She wasn't. She wasn't transgender. But the consciousness of this, it's not isolated to one room or one floor. The things that are preventing a world that work for all are not isolated to one room or one floor. So when your building is on fire, it doesn't matter what floor you are on. You are affected. Doesn't matter. Doesn't matter where you are, you're affected. Doesn't matter where you are, no matter where in the world you are, the world is on fire and we are all affected now. So the question is, what are we doing to extinguish the fire and heal and treat the burn victims and those with racial inhalation, toxic patriarchal inhalation? What are we doing to heal the world? From the Three Musketeers, we are probably all familiar with the phrase, all for one and one for all. Yes, but what if we thought about it this way? The all is one and each one is the all. Once again, when we start to change the language and we use language in a way that identifies our oneness, our connectivity, we communicate in that way, then we understand that the all, God, the universe, it is a oneness. There aren't two gods or five. There's one God, one universe, one life, and everything in it is it. There are many human beings in the allness or the oneness that we refer to as humanity. And no matter how many humans are born or how many die, the oneness that is humanity applies to every single one of them, no matter what. Nothing they could do puts them outside of humanity. I've stolen a great many dog treats, so now I am no longer classified as human. I am wolf. What? No, doesn't work that way. I am now mushroom. No, doesn't work that way. But I am now apple seed. No, you might think you are, but you're not. You are still within the all and the one that is classified as human. You are still that which God is. You can't be otherwise. To be otherwise would mean that what we practice, what we teach, is flawed and is incorrect. Just saying. So once again, referencing the arc of the moral universe will bend towards justice, but only if and when we bend it ourselves. Only when we bend it ourselves. If I were to ask you, when you see these individual faces, people, what comes to mind? What is something that links all of them? This idea that no one is free until we are all free. In some way, shape, or form, there is a representation of how one person said enough and stood up, stood out, spoke out, made a difference as a single individual. And around that single individual, others gathered. And as a result, they bent the arc. As Gwendolyn Brooks says, We are each other's harvest. We are each other's business. We are each other's magnitude and bond. We are. We belong to each other. We are each other's family, connection. We are the reflection of each other. We are the embodiment of and the incarnation of the divine. We have to take responsibility. And as Claudette Colvin says, I knew then and I know now that when it comes to justice, there is no easy way to get it. You can't sugarcoat it. You have to take a stand and say, this is not right. And that's what I did. Do you know who this young woman is? Or was? This is many years ago. If you don't, I invite you to do a little bit of research because you might be shocked. Now, one of the key things, once again, referencing this idea, you have to take a stand and say, this is not right. How many things do we see happening in the world today that many of us are silent about? This is what we are bound by principle to do. Say this is not right. After all, this is what we do in prayer. We don't pray, do spiritual mind treatment, and woe is me. We identify the thing that is not working. We say, this is not right. This is not the truth. And we speak that which is the truth. So if we can do this in prayer, because that's what principle and spiritual practice calls of us, then why would we not do it? Because if not us, who? And if not now, when? When will we start? Well, first, who's going to create a world that works for all? Are we waiting for them to do it? Are we waiting for the politicians to do it? Are we waiting for the clergy to do it? Okay, fine. We're waiting for someone else to do it. Fine. But it's not now, so when? The arc of the moral universe. But only if and when we bend it. Familiar with Cain and Abel, right? So the Lord said to Cain, where is, I don't know why I'm doing that voice for God, but where is your brother, Abel? I don't know. Am I my brother's keeper? He had an attitude with God. So we're familiar with this story. Well, there's a deeper level of this, which we're not going to get into right now metaphysically, but we're going to do a remix of it. Am I my brother's keeper? Am I my sister's keeper? Am I my gender fluid, gender rich, non binary siblings' keeper? No, I am them and they are me. We are each other's harvest. We are each other's. There's only oneness. We have to start taking care of one another in order to create a world that works for all. And in order to do this, it means oftentimes being vulnerable enough to stand out and love no matter what, to stand out and shine, to stand out and speak. This is not right. Even when others will call you a misfit, an outcast, a rebel, when they will accuse you of, so what? Are you rooted in principle? Are you acting from spiritual truth and values? Then what they call you matters not. As Bob Marley says, one love, one heart. Let's get together and feel all right. And when we get together, it's because we're getting together to do what is right. Because we understand there's only one love, there's only one God, there's only one life, there's only one mind, there's only one, and what it is we are. But we have to act like it. Life must be one and that one, in order to be expressed, must be many. But the many, in order to exist, must live in the one. Life, which is one, shows up as the many, but no matter how many, it is still one. What I said about humanity, same thing. So think about all the times that you other and realize that there is also the aspect of, but I am because we are. I am who I am because of all of the people who have impacted my life one way or another. I am because we are. This concept of Ubuntu is an ancient African word which means humanity to others, but it also means that which I am because of my community, because of who we all are. We are each other's harvest. Nelson Mandela said, in Africa, there is a concept known as Ubuntu, the profound sense that we are human only through the humanity of others. That if we are to accomplish anything in this world, it will be in equal measure. It will be in equal measure. It will in equal measure be due to the work and achievement of others. Archbishop Desmond Tutu said, a person is a person through other persons. None of us comes into this world fully formed. We would not know how to think or walk or speak or behave as human beings unless we learned it from other human beings. We need other human beings in order to be human. How are we being a world that works for all to then think and walk and speak and behave as those who know in order to create? I am what I am who I am because of who and what we are as a collective Ubuntu who know and live in a world that works for all. A person with Ubuntu is open and available to others, affirming of others, does not feel threatened that others are able and good, for he or she has a proper self-assurance that comes from knowing that he or she belongs in a greater whole and is diminished when others are humiliated or diminished, when others are tortured or oppressed. Ubuntu says that my heart aches when I hear about or read about or anything about genocide, the Palestinians, when they are tortured or oppressed, when they are humiliated or diminished. I feel what Hitler did to the Jews and all of those people. I feel because I am because we are. The people in the Congo who are forced to mine and dig just so we can have smartphones. I feel because that's what Ubuntu says. Ubuntu says that when I hear about a transgender woman being harmed in any way, I feel. When I hear about a cisgender woman being accused of or being hurt or harmed, I feel. School shooting, no matter where. I'm not in California, but if I hear about it, I feel. Because we are each other's harvest. We are each other. That's how we create a world that works for all, by understanding our sacred oneness, the connection for us all. So when you see this image of these people, how many people do you see? If I ask you to count them, how many do you see? What about now? How many people do you see? You said, what? Okay, hold on. Okay, that's fine. Come on, let's go back. How many people do you see? Okay. And once again, now, how about now? How many people do you see? And no, I don't expect you to actually count because I know some of y'all like Tracy are probably like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. The point is, how many humanity do you see? No matter how many heads, how many bodies, all of them fall into one humanity, are they not? One single category called humanity. So rather than focusing on, yes, we can talk about each other's race and ethnicity, yes, but understand that humanity is at the foundational root of that. And that love is our religion. Love is the thing that connects us. Religion coming from the term to be yoked together, to be bound together, to be connected to one another. Love is the thing that connects humanity as the divine. Even within the word humanity, there is unity. And we understand that this is an expression, a divine incarnation of all of us, and everything is a divine expression of God. As Rumi says, why do you struggle to open a door between us when the whole wall, the whole idea of separation is actually an illusion? You cannot be separated from God. And because you cannot be separated from God, you cannot technically be separated from me. And if we understood this during COVID, we would have been better equipped to take care of one another and ourselves during this time of physical separation and isolation. But because we were so bound in the idea of we're already separate, COVID exacerbated that to a way that many didn't survive, literally. The whole wall of separation is an illusion. So when we talk about this idea of diversity, equity, inclusion, and justice, once again, I invite you to read these because we're going to keep on going, because otherwise today's message is going to be well over an hour. So diversity refers to the characteristics of a person. Equity, reflecting that each person is born into different circumstances. Inclusion, ensuring that organizations and systems have a culture that is inclusive. And justice, highlighting the need for fairness in your organization or the systems. So when we talk about this idea of humanity, we are celebrating humanity with diversity, equity, and inclusion. Because diversity asks who is in the room. Equity asks who is trying to get in the room but can't. And inclusion says, has everyone's ideas, has everyone's voice been heard and shared? Breathe. Ultimately, this is about belonging once again, being together and knowing our togetherness and oneness. So when someone says they are anti-DEI, they are creating systems and structures that are not in favor of diversity, equity, and inclusion, and they are saying no to all of these things. What they are saying no to is belonging. What they are saying no to is the expression of the divine. They are saying no. We don't care who's in the room or who's not in the room. We don't care. I'm in the room. That's all that matters. Now, before we go to the next slide, keep in mind DEI, diversity, equity, and inclusion, because I'm going to remix it and turn it into a different acronym where we ask, is the divine expression included? If it is not, then that is our call to action. If someone does not feel that they belong in the space, it is not a safe space, then there is work to do. If it is a space where language is the barrier, there is work to do. Physical differences, there is work to do. Sight differences, there is work to do. Whatever it is the divine expression included? Is the divine expression of wheelchair included in this space? Can someone in a wheelchair, if they want to be here, can they get in here? No? Then there's work for us to do. Whatever that is, that's our call, because that's what's needed for a world that works for all. When we have this, then we automatically have justice and balance and harmony and love and peace. It's automatic because it's rooted in what we are being. The doing happens from the being. So let us ask ourselves, if we go back and we think about that slide from before, separation, ask yourself, where is God being excluded? God as transgender woman, where and is being excluded, where? God as person from the deaf community, excluded. We don't have access, we don't have interpreters, or we don't have, where are they being excluded? Whether it's intentional or not isn't the question at this point. Simply the question of, where is God being excluded? Because that is also asking, well, where is justice being excluded? Where is love being excluded, or compassion? Where is harmony being excluded? So when we run into that wall of separation that Rumi said was an illusion, for many, it's not an illusion, it's an actual experience. Someone says, stop. There is barbed wire of emotion that says, stop. You are not welcome here. Your sexual orientation, you are not welcome here. Your skin color, you are not welcome here. Your religion, you are not welcome here. There are various reasons. So pause and ask, who is not welcome here? And what is mine to do about it? Why aren't they welcome here? And what is mine to do about it? Because that response, that answer, is how we create a world that works for all. That's how we heal, by having the answer to these questions. But if we are not willing to confront and ask the question, there's no way we can resolve the conflict, the confrontation, and find the healing and the transformation. We cannot truly welcome people home if we don't have a home that includes them. Home is where we are all welcome. And that is the goal of this community, this center, which right now is completely virtual. But I would hope that those who join us feel a certain sense of, I am at home with this community. I am at home with Reverend Ray. I feel safe. I feel seen. I feel heard. I feel honored. I feel respected. Even those who voted for someone that I would have rather you not voted for. It doesn't mean I love you any less. We disagree. Now, if you agree with the current administration to the degree where you also agree that I should not be seen, heard, respected, then I'm not safe with you. That doesn't mean you're not welcome here. It means you're not welcoming me there. Ohana means family. Are we creating the beloved community, which is the beloved family, where we understand what it means? Breathe. Where we understand what it means to come together, to bend the moral arc of the universe so that we all benefit. The arc of the moral universe is bending towards justice today because I have chosen to bend it today. I have chosen personally to do the work. Have you? The Science of Mind and Spirit 4.0 offers us a path, practice, and way of being that is rooted in divine oneness and unity to ensure that diversity, equity, inclusion, belonging, and restorative justice is the experience of all. No child left behind at one time was the educational mantra. Today, Science of Mind and Spirit 4.0 calls us to declare that every child of every age, every creature, and every corner of the earth, all that is an expression of God will be honored, cared for, supported, enveloped in love and compassion, because a world that works for all is a world with systems and structures in place to meet the physical, psychological, emotional, social, recreational, financial, political, and spiritual needs of the people. Ubuntu. We are one. Breathe. This week's affirmation, our declaration, I'll say it first, and if it resonates with you, I invite you to say it the second time. I embrace the power of vulnerability, transparency, and connections that feed, fuel, and nurture me and my life together. I embrace the power of vulnerability, transparency, and connections that feed, fuel, and nurture me and my life. Breathe. And so it is. This week's journal questions or Thursday night study group questions. How do I navigate conflicts, disagreements, and confrontations? And what are specific ones that I tend to avoid more, such as political ones, religious ones, and why those? Number 2, what kinds of people make it hard to see unity and oneness, etc., God? What can I do to improve my ability to see them in ways that can foster and create a world that works for all? How do I change my perception of them and see more truthfully? How can I foster Ubuntu more consciously? In what situations do I tend to act like that won't affect me? Transgender women being denied access to sports, that won't affect me. Number 5, what can I do to reduce the likelihood of my being sheeple? And how can I help wake others up from their zombie consciousness? Number 6, what are some of the ways that I personally go against the grain? That I am that black sheep that says, hey, stop, we've been approaching a cliff, turn around. What are some of the ways that I purposefully go against the grain? And then lastly, what was the most challenging concept or practice that was shared in today's Sunday message? All of it, Ray, all of it. This week's The Practice should have some theme music playing. Have a conversation where you explain how diversity, equity, inclusion, and justice is, in fact, a spiritual practice, and how it is in direct alignment with our teaching of Science of Mind and Spirit 4.0. Have a conversation. Remember, communication is the pathway to healing. If we can't have conversation about this and we can't explain it, then what are we doing? And Master Yoda, don't forget the new Colossus. The what now? The new Colossus. This is an added bonus. For anyone not familiar with Emma Lazarus and her poem, The New Colossus, I invite you to come back to this and look it over and connect it with today's message, today's questions, and what is there for you to do regarding a world that works for all. Breathe. As we simply enter into that space of infinite awareness, where today's prayer is simply, Amen, there is one, and what it is, I am. All that I am is a divine expression of this one, this infinite oneness, expressing in, through, and as all that I am, all that we are, Ubuntu. I am because God is, we are because God is, and what it is, we are. Never separated, never isolated, not from it. And so in knowing this, I step into a greater and greater and greater upgrade of what is mine to do. Who am I choosing to be? How am I choosing to show up? How am I choosing to act? How am I choosing to live as my amen? Moment by moment, breath by breath. How am I being a place where others call home? How am I fostering and nurturing a space and an environment where everyone says, I belong, I am home, we are welcome, we are one. And so we breathe and allow that energy, the energy and the power that says, I am choosing to bend the arc so that all are welcome here. All are experiencing a world that works for all. That is my amen in this moment, right here and right now. I know it is done. I know it is so. And so it is. And so it is. Namaste, blessings, much love and appreciation. One more week for June. I hope you are out there celebrating Pride in one way, shape, or form. Come on now. June's on. I mean, of course, Pride is every day. I mean, that's what we do. But come on out, get out with the community, celebrate, honor, and love yourself and one another. See you soon.